Welcome back, everyone. John Schlumbohn's back with us today. He's a Putnam County Commissioner. He's telling us a little bit about those ARP grants that came down during the pandemic. And I know we talked about it, that there were so many specific rules and pages you had to go through to see how you could spend them. Are you getting a better sense of what's allowed and what's not?
Yeah, they came out with the final initiative of what you can spend the money on, and they have loosened it up some. Which makes it a little bit more palatable. We've found some place to put our first 3.2 million or whatever it was, and it's not all totally spoken for yet, but it's a good chunk of it is finally.
Yeah, and is that the fairground project we were talking about?
The multi-use building that's going to go at the fairgrounds that we can use for a vaccination center or something like that. That's going to be the second tranche, the next 3 million that we're going to be getting. Right now, we've given like 320,000 to local fire departments, came up with a criteria to spread that out based on their exposure, the amount of property they protect, the size of the department, their budget. We've kind of scaled that in there, so they've been using some of those funds. What else we got? Broadband. We've got, I think, about 6 or 7 telephone companies in Putnam County. And a lot of those needed a new switch for their fiber optics for their internet. And so we've granted, I don't know, about 6 telephone companies, 60,000 a piece to put those switches in.
Wow.
Which they're very grateful for. And hopefully that upgrades the broadband in almost 2/3 of Putnam County.
Well, and that's great. It's such an issue nationwide, getting it, broadband into rural areas and that kind of thing.
Yes.
You guys are kind of ahead of the curve there, probably.
Yeah, hopefully that helps a lot of people's lives out, and business too, for that matter. They really depend on that broadband.
Yeah.
But what else we got? We did a bunch of document scanning within our courthouse, so that those will be available online. That was allowable because that cuts traffic down in the courthouse and cuts the one-on-one as far as coming in and looking for documents. And our office, the auditor's office, the recorder's office, the engineer's office, they've all done the scanning of documents to help that out. And anyway, what else we got here? EMA, and we updated the operations center for our EMA and also within our courthouse. So our assembly room here in the courthouse will be able to have better audio visual there. Overflow, if we ever have large trials, things like that, why we can have people sit in there instead of in the gallery, and they can watch it live on a large screen.
Yeah.
Plus, we can have Zoom meetings from there, things like that.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but a lot of those dollars were designed for things to get fewer people in a small area, and you found some good uses for those.
Yeah. That was one of the things that we tried to shoot for. That was one of the early criteria. Is if you could show, that you were doing that, you were helping stop the flow of the pandemic, so to speak. That was an allowable expense. So.
Yeah, the fire departments, they had to be happy because you had talked about this before, all the expenses they had with the pandemic and that kind of thing. That who budgets for a pandemic? Nobody thinks about that. So were they pretty happy to get some of that funding back?
Oh yeah, they were very, very appreciative, I feel.
Yeah. So what was the total amount you guys got, and is there still money to be spent?
Yeah, we got our first tranche was in round numbers 320,000, maybe 330, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Or 3.3 million. I'll get this right. I need my decimals in there.
There you go.
Then we're going to be getting that much for the second tranche, and most of that second tranche will go towards this multi-purpose building that's going to be going on the fairgrounds that we can use for a lot of different things. But to make it self-sustainable, we'll also be renting it out for events, and that will help the cash flow so it doesn't become a burden on the county. It'll be self-sustainable.
Well, that's a very good point, because part of that, I know one of their rules was that it had to be self-sustainable. It couldn't be a one-time thing where you thought, okay, well, now we got to figure out how to pay for it from here on out, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Another big chunk of it we're using for upgrading the heating and cooling system in the courthouse. We've got very, very old air handlers in the courthouse. You can't really get in them to clean them. We know that mold grows in them during damp times in the summer when the AC's running. So the new units we're putting in will be much more accessible to get into them, to clean them, to keep them sanitary and things like that. So we're using pretty close to $500,000 on that, just to upgrade all that. And that'll make it a lot more energy efficient, cut down on costs moving forward.
Yeah.
So
and
we're trying to use this money in a sense that it's going to last. You know, it's like I've told you, it's not just a one-time shot. It's
right.
things that will help us in the future.
Yeah, you've got a good array of things there. Well, John, as always, we appreciate you telling us about it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Nice chatting with you. We'll be back right after this.